Well, we would walk in, and first, again, the doctor again explained the autonomic nervous system, and then explained all the machines and explained the process and how she was going to get her back from the sympathetic nervous system back into the parasympathetic nervous system where she was supposed to be. So she explained all the machines to her. She explained what she was going to do. The therapists were wonderful and came in and were also very encouraging. And then, they hooked her up. And they went through the process with her. And I was in there at the beginning. They showed me what they were going to do, and they showed me how, they hooked her up to the heart rate machines and the neurofeedback machines, and so everything was explained to me as well. But then I was asked to go in the other room, which was nice because I really wanted her to concentrate. But anytime I had any questions, there was always somebody that would sit down with me and answer them for me. I think from day 1 or day 2, I noticed her mood elevating. For the first time, I think, in a long time, she had hope. Because over the past 4 months, she had gotten really, really sick, and she was in and out of the hospital for a week stay at a time. And I could see that she had lost all hope. Before we got here, a couple months before we got here, she was really, really light sensitive with her migraines, and she was literally wearing 3 pairs of sunglasses on top of each other in the house. She couldn't go out anywhere. She couldn't go shopping. She couldn't go to school. She was fully homebound for about 3 months. She had a setback because she had gotten strep throat in October, and it was just a downward spiral after that. And so I was really trying everything to get her better because she was just screaming out in pain. She was, and she was so, she was just getting, so desperate and feeling so awful in general. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I needed to do something, and that's why I thought, how can this hurt? Even if it doesn't help, how could it hurt? Because they're not going to load her up like medications like they did at some of the hospitals that I had taken her. Okay, just for the 2 weeks. So her mood was the first one. Elevated, hopeful, more optimistic. She started to become more like the Nikki that I knew. One of the first things I noticed, it was after the first couple days, was looking at her feet. Her feet, the insoles of her feet are really thick because they're swollen. From blood pooling, maybe there's some, edema. So her feet were really quite swollen. And I was looking, I'm like, your feet are not as swollen. And it's really hard for her to admit when things are getting better, I think, because she's scared. And she looks at her feet and she goes, I noticed that. So it's kind of nice to hear her notice something. She's felt less dizzy. She's completely so much more in control of her heart rate. And I'd heard that you can sort of control your heart rate. I didn't really believe that you could. And I watched her go from sitting to standing, and her heart rate went up to, 110, 120. She was able to bring it back down with just in a matter of, 30 seconds to a minute to, I think at one point it was at 75 standing, which a couple months ago, even sitting, it wasn't that low. I mean, sitting, it was, 80 to 90. And the other day I noticed when she was on the machine, her resting heart rate was at 61. It hasn't been that low probably since she was doing gymnastics. And so things are really turning around and helping her energy level. That was another thing that I can't even believe the difference in her energy level. I mean, I really think that she may be able to eventually, pretty quickly, go back to going back to school full time. She's now going to school only half days. She gets in at 12:30 because she couldn't make it and she can't function in the morning. That has completely changed. Yeah, I mean, her energy level is, she's soaring. I don't think anybody has ever been as understanding and as compassionate and as knowledgeable about this illness than Dr. Kyprianou. And I think that's what sets her apart. Her caring nature, that she'll just sit there and she will answer any and all of your questions. And I feel like, you know, she and the rest of the staff have just been our biggest cheerleaders, you know, encouraging her and saying every step of the way, you are going to get better, you will get better. Mm-hmm. She really hasn't heard that from too many people, at least too many people that know what they're talking about. And I just think that she really, really understands this illness like no other. One of the biggest questions that I've been asked is, why don't you just do this in Chicago? We have top people in Chicago. And I think that's what everybody's wondering. Well, why don't I just go see a biofeedback person wherever I am? One thing that I loved about this program is, first of all, I don't know that there's any other biofeedback person that's that knowledgeable about POTS. But also I love the fact that this is a team approach. I was surprised by that there's other doctors here that, you know, work in conjunction with Dr. Kyprianou, and also that she was able to facilitate an appointment with Dr. Suleiman, who's a POTS specialist and cardiologist, electrophysiologist, I believe. And I love knowing that they were all working together to try to get my daughter better. And I just loved him. I thought he was a phenomenal doctor. So, and that if it can help my daughter, and I'm seeing these phenomenal results in such a short time, and I know there's a home program that you take home with you, so that hopefully, you know, things will continue to improve and even get better than they are now, that why not? You know, it's absolutely worth a try, because this is done without medicine. So it can't hurt, it can only help, and there's no ill side effects. Like every other medication that you start, there's no side effects. I was skeptical going into this. I should say I was skeptical, yet there was a part of me that was optimistic and hopeful that this was going to be it. And I honestly think this could be it. I mean, I think this can change a lot of people's lives if they're open to it. I think this really could help this community. I don't see a lot of people fully 100% recuperating on the medications that we've been given. So I feel like, you know, go for it. You know, it's every bit worth the time I took off from work and the money spent, because nothing else that we've done, honestly, has gotten her this much better this quickly.